I'm going to create a few sticker sheets in Silhouette Studio using clip art from my iPad that I've drawn. So I thought I would bring you along and just show you my process. So I do run a shop, so I am making these sheets for sale, so they will have my branding on them, but I thought I'd bring you along anyway. So I want to go up here and click File and then hit New, and that will bring up my new page. It brings up the page setup, and I always, if you're in the US, you'll be using probably letter size paper, but I use A4 size paper. My cutting mat is a portrait. I like having the print and cut borders on, and then I select my registration marks that work best for my machine. I know some people can't touch their registration marks and they need to use the default settings, but these are the settings that work well for me. The next thing I'm going to do is actually just open up one of my other sticker sheets because I'm going to use the outline of the sticker sheet as a template for these. So I'm going to select both of these, copy them with the Control-C, paste them into my new document, and then just close that because I don't need it anymore. If you're doing this from scratch, you can just use the rounded rectangle tool. Draw a rectangle the size you want so that you can fit 4 on the page, or 6 or 2 or whatever. Use the line tool over here, select line color, and make it green. Anything but red. We're going to use red as our kiss cut line, and then the green will be the cut line for the outside of the sticker sheet. But I'm just going to use my template with my brand on it. Then I'm going to open up my folder on my desktop. Mine's called Hand Created Clip Art, and this is what I'm going to use. Pencil Doodle. So just click and drag it in. If your folder, like if you're using bought clip art and your file is a zip file, you have to unzip it before you can click and drag. This is a PNG file, so you can see there's no white background to the pencils. This will work if you've got a white background. I just find it easier if you don't. Then I'm going to go over here to my trace tool, select trace area, and select all the pencils. It takes a second. I drag my scale down to 4, and for this type of object with a black outline, that's all I need to do. And I select trace outer edge. It takes a second, my computer's kind of slow. Right, so now what we have is one image that's got all the pencils in it, and if you try to ungroup this, you can't because it's one image. I'm going to undo that, and what we're left with on this side is this like set of outlines that perfectly matches our image. I'm going to undo, make sure they're like perfectly lined up, click and drag and select both, come over here to your modify tool and click crop. Now what we have is each individual pencil with no background, really easy to use. Next what I'm going to do is select, actually I don't need both these white ones, so delete those, select all the pencils, go to my modify tool or my transform tool and go to align, and align horizontally and vertically. Now, and then I'm going to group them together. You can use right click and group, but it's easier if you learn the shortcut, so it's Control-G to group them together. The reason I do this is because once they're one object, you can go up to your scale tool, and you can lock your scale, like your ratios, and you can decide that you want this to be 2.6 centimeters wide and click apply. And it will have changed all of your pencils to be exactly that width. So I'm going to do one lot of pencils that size. I'm going to copy and paste using the Control-C, Control-V on my keyboard. You can also copy and paste. And I'm going to make some of these smaller as well. I'm going to make these maybe 1 centimeter. Let's have a look. I think that's probably too small. So maybe you can also resize just by clicking and dragging. So maybe 1.5 centimeters wide. I'm happy with this size. Now what I'm going to do is ungroup it, because now we've got this all grouped, and if you do an offset now, all you'll end up with is one offset. So I'm going to Control-Shift-G or right click and ungroup. I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to click and drag the first pencil off the top. And you'll see why in a second. Select all your pencils by clicking and dragging, and then spacing vertically. The reason I've done this is you can now see that each pencil is separate from all of the other pencils. Now when you select them and go to your offset tool and click offset, you'll get an offset around each pencil, and they won't accidentally overlap and create like joining offsets, because you want separate offsets for each pencil. So make the offset distance, for me I use 0.08 centimeters. You can decide whatever works well for you and click apply. Now you've got a separate little red line, which is our cut line, on the outside of each pencil. The next thing you're going to have to do is group them together. You don't have to do this, but it's much easier for alignment issues on your page. So all I do is click and drag to select both the cut line and the pencil, and click Control G to group them together. So I do this really quickly. Like I said, you can right click and click group, but if you learn the keyboard shortcuts, this takes like literally no time at all. If you don't use the shortcuts, it takes longer. But either way, if you're getting it done, it doesn't really matter. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag these onto the page very roughly. It does not have to be accurate at all. I just want to get them roughly in their color groups and roughly in lines. If you're using just one image that you've traced and you are going to use that one image and duplicate it down the page, you obviously don't have to do this. Just drag your one image onto your sheet. Red, orange, yellow, green. Oh, not that green. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, 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 pink, pink. So in each of these pencils, I've done a light, a medium, and a dark, basically. That's my white pencil, and then I've got grey. Beautiful. Now that they're roughly in lines, I'm going to hit the Z key on my keyboard and zoom in. This brings up this tool. Again, you can click it, but if you learn the shortcuts, it's much better. So Z key or Z, drag over a shape to zoom. So then all you do is click and drag, and it will resize your screen to view that area. Click on the icon, the, what is this, cursor? Select tool. I use the V key, that brings you to that. And now what I want to do is actually make a pretty looking sheet out of these. So if you hit the Control key and then hit the right arrow, or any of the arrows, it'll duplicate the object in that direction. I can see that I'm going to fit about 5 pencils across the page. I don't want to cut them like this because if you zoom in, you'll see they're actually touching and it creates issues when you cut. I just don't think it looks as nice on the sheet. You're more likely to get issues with them not cutting perfectly. So I think I can fit about 5 across the page with a little bit of gap in between each one. I'm just going to select those and delete them. I'm going to roughly align this pencil with the top left where I want it on the page. And I'm going to duplicate it right with Control, right arrow key. Same with this medium color. And then I'm going to put the light one at the end. Zoom out a little. I'm going to select all the light pencils and the white one. And I'm going to use my align tool, my transform tool, align, align right. And then if you hold shift key and tap the arrow, you can wiggle the pencils over. And if you don't hold shift, you can wiggle them in smaller adjustments. So I think that's about good alignment on the page. It's not too close to my edge border. And then I'm going to select all of the red pencils. I'm going to click align vertically, so that makes sure they're centered, and then spacing horizontal. And then I'm going to use Control G on my keyboard and group that together. I'm going to do the same thing with all the dark pencils. I'm going to, if you just click align left, they'll all align with this purple pencil. So if you click align right, all the individual ones will go to the right of this grouped object, and then you align left, and you've got them perfectly aligned left. I'm going to align these ones to the right and just sort of get them roughly in the middle of the page. Select all of these, Control and right arrow key, duplicates them right. Select all the medium colored ones, Control and right arrow key, duplicates right. Now I'm going to select all my orange ones, align vertically, and then space horizontally, and group them together. Align vertically, space horizontally, group them together. Align vertically, space horizontally, and just do that for all of my layers. You can also do this in columns. I prefer doing it in rows generally, but you can do it either way. I've got to get 5 of these pencils, so Control left arrow duplicates to the left. Select those. The way to select 2 objects, if you've already selected your white pencil, you hold shift and click another object, it'll select both. Highlight all of those, space horizontally, group them together. Now what you can do is select all of your lines, space vertically, and they'll space out nice and evenly on my page. I can see, however, that I'm going to have extra room here, so I'm going to create, like I've got 2 bigger gaps between each row basically. So I'm going to create an extra white layer using the control up arrow, an extra gray layer, and an extra pink layer. For sale purposes, I think you can do it however you like, but I think a lot of people use pink, and then gray and white are nice and neutral, so they'll go with every spread, and then there's plenty of other colors for people to use. So that is my sheet. The next thing I would do is select both my outer box and all of my rows and just align center. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, align center. Oh, I accidentally selected this box. So select all of that, click align center, and it will just make sure each of your rows is aligned within the box. So you've got an even gap on each side of your page. So that, and then I usually group it together for ease of use. Then if I was going to print this out, get all those off my page, I would line this up on my page like this, use the right arrow, duplicate the whole lot right, select both, duplicate the whole lot down, and now I'm ready to print out 4 of this sticker sheet. When I go to print it out, you go to your send, and I cut by line, and you want to cut, you can click and drag this cut line up. So this is my line color. This is the red cut line that we created using the offset. And I would select that to cut with my kiss cut settings. The green line will cut after because it's second in line. And you would select that one to cut using my full cut settings. And that will cut all the way out, and I'll be left with 4 individual sticker sheets with all the pencils on top. I'm going to just drag these off to the side and show you guys one more time. Basically the same thing, but with the larger objects. So this is my grouped, remember we duplicated this at the start? This is my lot of grouped pencils. So I'm going to go to my scale tool, and I'm going to make them 3.6 centimeters wide. And if you lock the aspect ratio. If you don't lock the aspect ratio, you end up with stretched out images. So lock the aspect ratio and click apply. And again, we're going to zoom out so that we can make sure when we do our offset that all the pencils are nice and individual. Control Shift G ungroups, drag one pencil down, go to your transformer line and space vertically. I'm going to do a quick offset of 0.08 and click apply. And we're going to group them all together again. The neat thing about the grouping together and adjusting by size is that you can do it with grouped objects too. So I'm going to show you what I mean in a second. So just group all these together, clicking and dragging and selecting Control G. Now that I've got them all grouped together, I can actually do the same thing, align center, align in the middle, group them together. And I actually want these to be exactly 3.8 centimeters wide because that's the size of an Erin Condren half box. The width of an Erin Condren half box anyway. Click the Z key and zoom in on your sheet. And now you can see that each pencil is 3.795 centimeters wide. I'm going to rotate them because I happen to know that 3 half boxes fit perfectly like across my page this way. And then I'm going to do exactly the same thing I did before. Yellow, 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 orange, orange. You can see I'm really rough with this. I'm not spacing them out perfectly. I just want to get them roughly in the right spots because it just makes alignment easier, I find anyway. This is also just one way to do this. I know there are plenty of ways to do this. Tons of people have different methods using the Silhouette program. This is just one. So I hope this is useful for someone. If anyone would like me to do tutorials showing you like in more detail how and why I do each step, I'd be more than happy to do that. Just let me know in the comments down below. But for now, I just thought I'd bring you along as I actually do this. I'm going to release these next week, this Thursday, sorry. So again, I use the keyboard shortcuts a lot. So I'm going to center these. I'm going to space them. Oh, I actually want 3 of these white pencils. Space them apart. I do a lot of like aligning. So you can see I just align each of the pencils using my align tool, space vertically, group together. Use the arrow keys to adjust them a little. I'm going to select this red one and make sure it's aligned up at the same point. Select all the light pencils and align them to the same point. All the dark ones are all aligned. And then just select all three in each color family, align to the left, and space vertically. Group together. Align to the left, space vertically. It doesn't matter that the pencils overlap at all, because we're going to fix that when we do the general align in a second anyway. Oops. Space vertically and align. Space vertically and align. Group. Space vertically, align, left. Okay. Now we've got all the pencils in rows. I'm going to move this pencil down a bit using the shift arrow key. Up there. Select all of them and space horizontally. Perfect. So as you can see, it only takes me about 15 minutes to make 2 sticker sheets. This is sort of the most colors I ever use. If I'm using, I'll just show you quickly. If you're just using, say you have just one image and you wanted to create a sticker sheet, all you would do is take, say you just wanted to create one sticker sheet using just this one pencil. All you have to do is Control right arrow key. 9 of them fit down this page. Use the shift key to space it out. Select all of them, space horizontally, group together. Use the Control up arrow to duplicate twice. Use the shift arrow to space them out a little bit and select all 3 and align vertically. So it is much faster if you just got one image, but I wanted to have all the colors of the rainbow. So these are my large icons. You can see they're about 3.8 centimeters wide, and my small icons. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, little sneak peek into what I do to create my sticker sheets. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.